In this video, we're going to have a look at pie charts and donut charts, and they're not that difficult. If I add in a pie chart, let's say I wanted to see what the total sales volume was. Okay, so 100% of all sales were made. That doesn't tell me anything. So now let's divide it into the region name. And I'm going to add region name into the details section. And here we can see we have got these 6 different regions, and we can see what percentage of the overall sales were in Greater Manchester, West Midlands, West Yorkshire, and so forth. Now, there's not too much more in this until I add something else. Suppose I wanted to subdivide each particular pie, each particular portion. Say the Greater Manchester, I wanted to know what the sales were in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4. But I want the colours to remain as each individual region name. So what I'm going to do is drag region name into the legend section. Nothing visible has actually changed. And now I'm going to go into the date hierarchy and drag quarter into details. And now you can see that each of these pie segments have been divided up into 4. So you can see quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 for each individual region name. So if you're going to do this, make sure you put the legend on. Now the difference between a pie chart and a donut chart is simply whether there is a hole in the middle or not. So you can change the data colours individually. So maybe I wanted Greater Manchester to be in a purple, absolutely fine. You can change the labels so that, for instance, instead of saying the category, so 1, 2, 3, 4, you could have the data value, or the percentage of the total, or some combination thereof. Or of course you could just switch them off if it's fairly obvious what each segment is for. And that's about it. And it's a bit disappointing in terms of the functionality. For instance, what if you had 20 items? So I'll change this from region name to date, year. It gets very crowded very quickly. Now, in some other places, some other programs, you could say, I want the top 10 to be shown separately and everything else to be grouped together. That is not yet possible in Power BI. Hopefully they will be expanding this so that the standard Power BI pie and donut could have some greater flexibility into it. But for now, if you have got some data which adds up to 100% and you want a visualization of how each component makes up the total, then please have a look at the pie chart or the donut chart. So just a quick look at some of the other properties, and they largely revolve around this details label. So in addition to what you show, you can also say where you see it. So outside, inside, or a preference, prefer outside, prefer inside. So the prefer means that not everything will be outside. Then you can format the font. You can say whether a background is on or not. So here you can see that the value here is shown with a background, but I can turn it off if I so wish. You can also display units in nons or thousands, millions. And you can also say, well, I want this to 1 decimal place, so we're having 173.3 as opposed to just 170. And you can also say the same thing for the percentage. I just want it to 1 decimal place. So that is all in the detailed labels, and then in rotation, that just shows where we start with all of the colours. In addition to these, you have the standard properties as always, so you can add a title and you can add backgrounds and visual borders and shadows, for instance. So these are some of the properties that you have got with pie and donut chart.